Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. I'm back with another video, which is I'm actually like so surprised at myself right now. But I don't know, I've been so motivated with filming more videos and sharing my story and talking to you guys because it's been a while and it feels good to be back. But yeah, this video is going to be a 3B and 4A reflection. I usually like to film these videos after each term, and truthfully, I tried to film one after my 3B term, but I just had surgery and I filmed it, like I filmed the whole video, it was like 20 minutes long, and then I was like, this just doesn't feel right. And so I kind of just deleted all the footage, tried to upload it. But yeah, I feel good about this one, so I'm excited to share about my 4A term as well as my 3B term together in one video, so it might be a little longer. But yeah, I've been filming this since 1A, which is wild because I just watched my 1A one and I was like, wait, I was so tiny, like I was so small, like I wasn't as confident, I don't think, but it feels good to like just have these as like memories, even just for myself and seeing how much I've grown over the years. So yeah. Also, sorry about my room. It's so messy, but I'm so lazy to to clean it. But I hope you enjoy this video and let's get started. Okay, so I'm gonna break this up into two parts. So 3B and then 4A. And then for each one, I'm gonna talk about courses, extracurriculars, and some learnings that I did throughout the terms, like reflection type things. But yeah, let's get started. So I took 5 classes this term in September, but then in October I was taking 4, and I talked a lot about why I dropped one class in my previous video, but just a small recap. I failed the midterm, I didn't like AI, or I didn't feel like I was really learning the content, and it was also very stressful, so I just dropped the class and took it again in 4A. But yeah, this term I took CS 349, which was UI, Search Engines, which is a management course, but CS kids can take some engineering classes, which I didn't know, and I really recommend because some of the engineering classes are very, very good. And so I took that. I also took English 295, which is social media, and then Rec 219. So this term was not too heavy at all. Like I was literally only taking one CS class and 2 easy electives and 1 like decently challenging. It was pretty challenging, honestly. Search engines was not an easy class. I'd honestly say it was harder than my CS classes, some of my CS classes, but it was a very, very, very useful class, which I'll talk about more. Also, I just realized I have my AirPods in, so I'm keeping them in. I hope the audio is better. I just ordered a microphone, so hopefully my content will be getting better, but as of now, I'm filming with my iPhone and using AirPods as microphone. But yeah. Alright, so CS 349, a very nice class, super useful if you want to go into web dev or honestly just know about web dev, because I feel like web dev is always something that you can learn on your own, but it's nice to have a class for it because some of the CSS stuff and the HTML stuff we kind of just copy paste and do trial and error to figure out if it works. But this class really teaches you like the foundations and the basics for it, which is really nice. And this class used to be taught in Kotlin, but now they switched it over to JavaScript and React, so much more useful in the industry, definitely very applicable to what I've done in my previous co-ops, and the professor was freaking amazing. I forgot his name. I think it was this man was a legend. Like he really revamped the whole course and he did a very good job on doing it. And he was also very nice and easy to talk to during office hours. He really helped me a lot. So shout out to him. He was great. Honestly, a really good class to take and not too hard. I think 1 midterm, 1 final, and 4 assignments. So not bad. Assignments were a little time consuming, but still overall very doable. All right, next is search engine, which is MSCI 541. My friend Arena recommended this class to me. It was my first ever Eng class, and honestly, after taking this class, I could just tell the vibe is so different between engineering cohorts and CS cohorts, because these people have known each other since first year, and like at the beginning of the term, they clapped at each class, at the end of each lecture, they clapped, and I was like, wait, what's going on? Like, is it his birthday? Like, what's happening? But then they told me that's like a CS, or it's an engineering ritual to just clap at the end of each class. So that's pretty cool. Um, it was an introduction class to search engines and how to build a simple search engine using tokenization, stemming learning, and different IR learning models. And the final exam was 50%, which is a lot, and then the rest of the class was 50% of just assignments. The assignments were very time consuming, but a very good class. Like, now that I'm on co-op, some of the things that I learned about like large language models I'm using. So it's a very good class to just have a foundation of what LLMs are and how search engines work, how Google does it, and so on. So it's a very good class. The professor is a very knowledgeable guy. I actually sat one office hour with him and we just talked about search engines, and he was a very knowledgeable guy. So very highly recommend this class. I hope he continues teaching it. I think he's the only professor that teaches it, honestly. He created the class and he teaches it every term, and only the fall term. So make sure you take it in the fall. Would recommend. All right, next is English 295, social media, and I took this class because I wanted to do my breadth in CS in English, because the following term I took linguistics. So I completed my breadth requirements. This class was kind of mid, to be honest. It's a lot of class discussions, and they do participation marks. So you do a lot of like personal reflection assignments, and also a lot of like reflection on how social media has impacted your life. So not useful class, but not the most interesting. Like, sometimes it's boring. It was like a lot of things I already knew. Like, yes, big tech has more power than government sometimes, and also like, social media has ruined our lives in so many ways, but also helped us. Like, lots of like conversations I already knew of, but it was good to just take it again and to be reminded about it. And some of the class discussions were pretty interesting, so would recommend, but if you don't want to take it, don't take it. All right, and then Rec 219, which is a events class. So planning events, which I freaking love. This was a really fun class. Like, lots of discussion based, lots of people came into the class and talked about their experience, like recruiters or people in the faculty of recreation. A lot of cool people came, and it was a very different vibe from my CS classes, because this is the first time where a course asked me to do a lot of personal reflection. Like, each assignment was a personal reflection, and I felt like I had to write like thank you at the end of the reflection, because like, thank you for asking me how I'm doing. Because CS is always like right or wrong, it's a right or wrong assignment. But this is like what you think, and I'm like, wow, they actually care about what I think. No one has ever asked me what I think about an assignment. So it was very interesting and a very good class, very chill. I think I finished with like a 90 something, 97. So it was probably one of my few 90s on my transcript, but definitely a fun class. I really enjoyed it. No complaints at all. Now moving on to like extracurriculars for this term, because honestly this term was very fulfilling in extracurriculars and spending time with my friends and family, because my term wasn't as heavy, so I had more time on my hand, which was also bad in some aspects because I overthought a lot. But some of the extracurriculars I did, I was finally WICS president, so Women's CS president, which I've been wanting to do for like the longest time, and I finally committed to it, and it was very rewarding. I freaking love the community. Like, the Women's CS community is the only reason why I survived Waterloo. Not the only, but one of the biggest reasons why I survived Waterloo. So it was nice to like give back to the community and like organize the term and plan events. So yeah, it was really great. I also did intramurals for the first time this term. So we did volleyball intramurals. We stayed undefeated in losses. Shout out Jithica for that joke. But yeah, we lost every single game. Like, every single game. Like, we didn't win a single game because we were all beginners, and it was a beginner group, but like, everyone else was so good. So I was like, what's going on? But it was definitely really fun. I also went to a lot of Socratica events. This term, they popped off. Like, Socratica is honestly one of my favorite communities at Waterloo after WICS. They have so many cool events, like so many cool events. So I really enjoyed going to all their events. I went to the beginning of term event, end of term event, and then throughout the term I went to some Sunday sessions, which is basically like 3 hours of just working on your side hobbies, and you meet the coolest people ever. Like, I was shocked how cool some people were. Like, I don't know, so many people had so many cool hobbies, and it wasn't tech related. Like, a lot of them were tech related, but some of them were not. I'm like, wait, people in CS can have non-tech related hobbies? So it was really nice to be around that environment and that community. So yeah, very thankful for that. I also started praying a lot on campus. Before this term, I was also always very nervous to pray on campus because honestly I didn't know much about the Muslim community at my school, but there is a huge Muslim community at Waterloo, like MSA, and they have a lot of different events. They have an Instagram that you can follow. They have prayer rooms, so definitely a good place to be. I went to SLC mostly to pray, and then sometimes in the E7 building on the 6th floor, the side floor. So it was nice to, be connected to my dean. And then I also did a hackathon this term, so it was the Cohere Rag Hackathon. Super cool event. It was like a 4-hour hackathon where you got to use some of the Cohere APIs. We built something really cool, but we didn't win. But we won in my heart, so it's fine. So that was a very cool event. I really enjoyed that. It was the only hackathon I did this term. And I also did Hack the North, but as a mentor, but I didn't help anyone because I was kind of useless. But still, Hack the North is one of my favorite events in the fall term. So definitely apply if you want to go, even as a volunteer. I know the application process is quite rough now, like the acceptance rate is insane, but definitely do go as like a volunteer, mentor, or a food stand late person, I don't know, but definitely go. My sister's organizing this year, so I'm so hyped to go see what she does. Actually, I don't think I'll be there, but I'm hyped to see how it goes. Oh, I also went to Canwix. So last year I went to GHC, which is a Women in Tech conference, but this year I went to Canwix, which is the Canadian version of GHC, and it's in Toronto. Definitely not as big, but still a very good community, a good environment. Really enjoyed the people I met, and I was very thankful that I could go. So yeah. So this term I went to a couple of Palestine protests on campus and in Toronto as well. There was so many, like I think one every weekend after October 7th, which was really nice to see. I went to the ones I could, but always tried to donate and support them as much as I can. Hopefully things get better. And then also some things I did for fun. I went to Trader Joe's in Buffalo because we freaking love Trader Joe's, and it was Anna's birthday, my really good friend Anna, so we celebrated her with surprising her to go to Trader Joe's, which was honestly the highlight of my term because I left Waterloo for a week, for a day, and it was the highlight. So that was super fun. Oh, and I also want to say that I had a really good birthday this year as well. My birthday's on October 3rd, and it was such a great day. Like, my friends surprised me with a picnic, and some snacks from Farm Boy, and it was just a really good day. It was like a really, really great day. So shout out to my roommates who planned it and my sister who also helped. So yeah, very, very thankful always. Celebrating birthdays means so much to me now. So yeah, I had a really good time. Okay, now let's talk about some learnings I did in this term. Because I did a lot this term, like I really reflected on a lot of areas of my life. So I want to talk a little bit about that because yeah, there was a lot that happened this term. Good and bad, but I do want to focus this video more on the good because my other videos are more on the bad. Okay, so the first learning I did is that after being in California for 8 months, coming to Waterloo was honestly exciting, but also very tough because I think the transition to school is always really hard, especially when you're gone for 8 months and you forget like what it's like taking 5, 6 classes. And honestly, I think that's another reason why I dropped one of the classes at the beginning of the term. I just felt like 5 is a lot, like especially if you're taking 3 CS and 2 others, or 4 CS and 2 others, like it gets a lot. So definitely trust your own journey. There's no rush in being on track with finishing classes. You take an extra term, it's not the end of the world. Like we put so much stress and emphasis on like finishing at the same time as our peers, but that's not the reality. Like things go on our own time. Like we have to trust our own journey. The transition was very, very challenging. Initially, I was very motivated to do school and to do well, but after midterm season I kind of just burnt out and I didn't give a fuck about what grades I got. But I've always been like that, but this term heavy on the emphasis of I didn't care. A lot of thoughts about my future and what I was looking for and like things I was excited about. Like I thought a lot about my future when I was in Waterloo the past couple of months, and I think that's because I got older and like I was near graduation, so I thought more about like what type of work I want to do, where I want to work, where I want to be, who I want to work with. I also noticed that I realized that Waterloo, the city itself, sucks, but the people really make up for it. And honestly, without the people, the city's like nothing. This term, I also realized that I'm not really big into going out with a lot of people and like clubbing and going to bars. I don't know, I've never really been into that, but when I was in like 1B and 2A and when I was younger, I enjoyed it more, but I think I kind of fell out of it and I prefer to do more wholesome activities and be home and like watch a movie with friends and family. Um, I also realized that in upper years, assignments get more manageable. I feel like the content gets heavier, like you learn a lot more, but the assignments are less, and so you have you have 2 weeks to finish a bigger assignment, which I prefer. I also was very grateful that I tapped into my Muslim community this term, so I was more active in like praying and going to do all 5 of my prayers. And the prayer rooms are great at SLC, so definitely would recommend. And then dropping a class, I'd recommend it if you have a lot of good reasons, but I also recommend talking to your counselor about it because when I dropped it, I had a lot of regret doing that, even though I thought it would make me feel better, but I don't know why it made me feel worse. So definitely write down a pros and cons list so you can look back at it if you have any doubts about your decision. I also noticed that in Waterloo this term, there's so much comparison that happens around you because so many people around you are so freaking amazing, and that you constantly feel like you have to do more with co-op, with classes, with life. And honestly, at the end of the day, just trust your journey because I didn't have a very productive 8 months in Waterloo, but when I was on co-op, I feel so much more productive at work and outside. Like I feel so much more eager to like work on things, and maybe those aren't side projects or technical hobbies or technical projects, but I just feel so much more motivated about life, going out and doing things that I like to do, like filming video. That's more of my side hobby. Maybe it's not a technical project, but at least I'm sharing my story and maybe hoping that I help others. All right, now reflecting on 4A, which to be honest, I don't remember a lot about. Like, I'm gonna be super honest, I was chronically stressed this term. Like, I would wake up stressed, go to sleep stressed, be stressed all throughout the day. My cortisol levels were really high. I had really bad sleeping problems. I got sick multiple times. I was recovering from ACL surgery. So it was a rough term, and I was taking 6 classes. So that didn't help at all. I took too much and I didn't digest any info in any of my classes. I was constantly stressed, not present, not involved in school, no Wix. So that also took a toll on me because I was like, I'm taking 6 classes, so I'm not going to do Wix this term, which was a big regret of mine. Because honestly, that community keeps me in check. And I also did a URA, which I'm going to talk about first. I did a URA in the social robotics lab, BCE faculty. It was a really great community. The professor who organizes this or is responsible for this lab is super amazing. She's very, very well spoken, cares a lot about mental health. Like the whole thing is about mental health and students and children. So I really resonate with the mission, but I didn't do a great work. Like the lab is responsible for connecting students to fur hat robots to act like a therapist or like a coach, but it's not supposed to replace therapists. It's supposed to be like a learning curve or like a transition between finding a therapist that works for you. And this is super important because a lot of lines for therapists, especially at the University of Waterloo, is super, super long. Like I know some people who have waited 2 to 3 months to find a good therapist or to get in contact with their initial appointment with a therapist. So I'm really passionate about this lab because I think it's a really good stepping stool for people who want to get into therapy, and especially for young kids. And I didn't know this, but stress can start at the age of 8 years old, which is very, very young. And sometimes you don't know you're stressed, especially when you're that young. So I think therapy would be a great way to like just understand yourself better, especially when you're super young. So my project was the onboarding session before someone gets matched to their robot. So it was like the customization aspect of getting in contact with their coach, their therapist. So they were able to pick how the robot looked, how it talked, how it spoke, how it felt. So a lot of customized features, and I just built the UI for it. So I didn't connect it to the back end or anything, but that's what I worked on. All right, so the first class I took was CS 486, which is Intro to AI. I love this class, this term. Honestly, very, very good professor. The last time I took it was not as great, but I took it with Jesse this term, and he's a very good professor. Like, we had 4 assignments, very doable, every 2 weeks. Super, super easy to talk to professor. Midterm was very fair. Final was a little tricky, but it was just long. It wasn't hard. So I really enjoyed this class. CS 446 was the next class I took, which was it was an Android development class. I forgot the name specifically, but we built a app in Android. My team was super great. I fully got carried. Like, I think I just built one feature of the application. What we built is an Android app for Waterloo students to connect with clubs and events around them. So based on a form that they fill out, we just recommend clubs that we think that they will be interested in, and then there's like a For You page as well, so they can see what is nearby and when soon, and they can sign up or just discover a lot of clubs at Waterloo, because there's so many clubs at Waterloo. I think there's over like 400 clubs at Waterloo. Maybe that's a lie, but there's a lot. So definitely a cool app, and I don't know, if my team wants to release it, I'd be down to release it because I think it's cool. If you think we should release it, comment down below and I'll try to convince my team, because they honestly carried, so it's up to them. And then I also took CS 348. It's a very boring class, some useful content for SQL stuff, but I only took it because I wanted to take the next class after it, which is 451, which is big data. This was the first time that I wrote an exam and left early because I didn't know what the hell was going on. I'm like, I give up. Like, I fully gave up. I like left, and I think I needed like a 15% to pass the class. I was like, it's fine, I'm out. Like, I don't care. It was my last exam as well, and I felt like crap afterwards because I was so burnt out from the term that I was like, I don't care. I also took CS 492, and it's a chill class, but I hated it. I hated the class so much. It's supposed to be the easiest class at Waterloo, and I don't know why I hated going to class. I think it was because the participation was mandatory, so you had to go in class and participate at least once to get the points. And I just hated the class so much. The class was so negative. Even though the professor was okay, I just did not like him. I don't know. I think he spent a lot of the class reflecting on the negative aspects of tech rather than the positives and all the good that has done for our world. And I wrote that in my final term evaluation thing. I didn't really like him, so I don't know. I didn't vibe with the class. I always felt tense and stressed when I went in, and I came out feeling worse than I did before going to class. Like, I just don't know. It was a negative class, but definitely easy marks if you want to like get a class that's gonna boost your GPA. And I don't want to call out the professor because he's a good guy, but I just didn't like how he taught the course. And then I also took English 306A, which is linguistics. I love this class. It was very cool to me. It was completely online, no final, no midterm, just some assignments and group work. So definitely would recommend this class. I learned a lot, and I found it really cool. And then the last class I took was class 104, and those 4 quizzes and what you do with 4 quizzes. I'm not going to say out loud because yeah. But yeah, very chill class, very super easy. Oh yeah, and then this term I also did a lot of physical therapy for my knee because I had ACL surgery. I did at Price Health, which is like a 15-minute bus away from campus. I did it there instead of SOS, which is in campus, because the person I was seeing did a lot more knee rehabilitation. It was just a little far, which is a little annoying, but it was a very good place to go, and they're super kind, and they have a lot of discounts for students, so I would recommend. All right, some fun things I did this term. I did a lot of fun things. I don't really remember them, but I remember them through pictures, to be honest, because honestly, something that my therapist told me is that when you're stressed, you remember things less. So that's something to remember. If you want to remember this moment, don't be stressed. I'm joking, it's not as easy as that. But yeah, some fun things I did. Shout out to my roommates because they honestly carried my whole mental health. If it wasn't for them, I would have not survived at all. But we hosted Valentine's night. Galentine's. We did some painting, some chatting. Very good night. I'll put some pictures around here as well because, yeah, I think these things made me go through Waterloo alive. Made me survive Waterloo. I also did some baking sessions with my friends Fio and Emily and Anna. They honestly really helped me the past 4 months. They don't know how much they helped me, but they helped me heavily. I also did a lot of board game nights, which is really fun. I think Waterloo, especially in the winter term, you have to do a lot of indoor activities because it's too cold to go outside. I also signed up for rock climbing membership in PAC, which was really fun. So I went like once a week, I think, and it was really, really great. Especially since they have like the harness ropes, because I was still recovering from ACL surgery. So I just used my upper body for rock climbing. I also went home a lot this term. Like every 2 weeks I went home to spend time with my family because I really needed it and I needed to be taken care of like a 4-year-old child. But shout out my parents. I also did Ramadan this term, so went to a lot of iftars and hosted 2 iftars, which was really rewarding and fun, and it was a good time to spend time with my friends and family. We also did some dancing classes. My roommate Ju teaches dancing on campus, and she did a really good job teaching it, so shout out her. Oh, engineering prank day was really funny. So we walked around E7 and saw so many pranks everywhere. I'll put some pictures, but that was super fun to see. And I wish CS did it too, but I guess we're lame like that. I also went to some capstone projects on campus. Engineering does this, CS doesn't. So it's cool to see what people built in their last 2 terms of school, and some really cool stuff. I was truly impressed. I also went to one concert, Burna Boy. Shout out Seema and Anahita. They came with me. Super fun night. Really needed that. I also went to more Palestine events. Some protests, not really this term because it was cold outside and I couldn't really walk because of my knee. I also hosted a small St. Patty's Day because it was during Ramadan, so I didn't go out on the streets. And I've never been on the streets, but to be honest, I don't really care for it. So we had friends over and we just did some like wholesome activities like painting shirts and creating our own St. Patty's shirts, which was really nice because my sister also came up. But yeah, that was my term. I always film TikToks at the end of each one of my terms, so I think I'll put both 3B and 4A here. It's just a fun way to like just recap on my term and highlight the positives even though I went through shit. But yeah, if you want, you can follow me on TikTok. I love filming small recap videos from my trips and stuff. It's just Maryam after, same as my Instagram. But yeah, that's it for today's video. Thanks so much for watching and supporting me. I love you guys so much, even though you don't know me, or I don't know you, but you know me. This has always been super fun to film. I do go through roller coasters of filming and not filming, but I think I'm back on my grind, and hopefully I stay on my grind because I have some really exciting videos coming up. I'm gonna start a podcast series with some of the most inspiring women that I've met at work and outside of work, and I just want to chat with them and hear their stories because I think every single person has a really cool story, and it's nice to hear what they've been through, the good and the bad. And so if you have any recommendations on who I should podcast or interview, please put them in the description below. I do want to open this to all types of women, even women allies. Like honestly, if you're a man and you have a cool story to share and you support women in tech, please send me a DM and I would love to just get to know you and share your story online if you're comfortable. But yeah, until next time, I'll see you all later. Bye everyone.